Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I am so honored to be your host, your companion in this conversation today as we talk about having it all, as we talk about living and experiencing an abundant, loving life, because I know it's what you're here for. You're here because you recognize that somewhere in your life you have the ability to level up, step your game up, to step into your power, your passion, your purpose. I love that conversation. I truly do, because that is what has been ignited within me all those years ago, and has just been burning steadily. And so I love bringing the conversation to you all, sharing with you some stories, some insights, some of my breakdowns, my breakthroughs, all that great stuff. We're getting into all of it on this podcast. So if it's your first time here, then thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm super excited for you to be a part of this conversation, this community. And if this is not your first time, if you've been here before, then welcome back. I'm super grateful to you for just keeping this thing rolling. And yes, gratitude. That's been the name of the game for me for the past few weeks. Gratitude really has been. So today's conversation is about perfection. And this is funny because I'll let you in on a little something. This is the fourth time I have recorded this intro. On a podcast talking about perfection, I haven't enjoyed my previous attempts. So whatever comes out now, I'm letting it go, because this doesn't need to be perfect. And that is what we're talking about today. Before we do that, I want to get into a little bit of magic. Magic is our ability to influence self, others, and life in an empowering way. And you are creating magic all the time. You are. I promise you. I don't have to know anything about you to know that you are creating magic. And you're probably not recognizing it very frequently. And so what we do here at the top of the episode is I share my magic so that you can see, oh, that's what magic looks like. And then I want you to reflect. I want you to pause the episode after I'm done sharing and think about what your magic is. Because it's so important for you to realize that you are magical. You are creating magic all the time, because that's what having an abundant, loving life is all about. When you connect to that power, when you connect to that truth, that magic is around you, and you become grateful for all those things and all the people and all the energy and all the environments that you have all around you, then you realize that you already have it all. So my magic is I'm part of an accountability group, and we set goals every week, a goal for self, others, and life. And my goal for others last week was to send out 5 pieces of gratitude. And what was really cool about that is I sat down to think about, okay, who am I grateful for? And the examples just flowed. It was really awesome. It was very effortless for me to think about the people in my life that I'm grateful for and what I am grateful to them for. And, we just came out of the Thanksgiving holiday, so I had family that came into town, and I was grateful to them for making the travels and spending the money and putting forth the energy to come. I was grateful to a buddy of mine for giving me a ride to go hang out and to go hike up Stone Mountain with another friend of mine. I'm grateful to Sarah for holding it down and allowing me to have the space to go and be with friends, to go rep that role of being a friend, because it doesn't happen all the time. Between being a husband and a father and a podcaster and building a business with her, Sarah and I have to remember to take time for ourselves and really have to make the time. So as I was sitting down to share my gratitudes, they were just flowing. It was amazing. And that right there was magic to me, because it tells me that I have, the reps that I've put in to acknowledge gratitude and to be grateful, like they show up in moments when I'm needing to be grateful. And I love that. And so, gratitude is a muscle. If it's hard for you to think of things you're grateful for, it's just because you aren't doing it enough. You aren't doing it a whole lot. And there is no more amazing things happening in my life than in your life. It's just perspective. It's just how you see them, how you view them. So I highly encourage you to take a moment to think about what you're grateful for. See if you can rattle off 5 people you're grateful for and what about them that you're grateful for. And that's magic right there. So there you go. There's your idea. You can pause and think about that magic. So I got a little bit of listener love. Here's more gratitude. I'm grateful for everybody who listens to the show, and I love being able to connect with each of you when you reach out to me on Instagram or email me. And so I want to honor that gesture by just giving you a little bit of a spotlight here on the podcast. And so today's listener love goes out to Alma. And Alma, you reached out to me on email. And I think you actually sent a note through my website, which was cool. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, taking out the time to go to my website, fill out the form, share with me your message, and share with me that your community is going through a tough time. And so just know that I'm sending you love, that the Having It All community is behind you, and because they've got folks like you in the community who are intentional and powerful and loving, I have all the faith that things are going to turn out well. So Alma, I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for reaching out with me and connecting with me. I'm super grateful. If you listening want to connect with me as well, just like Alma did, you can do so on Instagram, Matthew_Bivens. And I'm actually enjoying Instagram more and more these days. It's cool. Sarah's been teaching me how to do things. I've been doing posts on my own. So I'm getting my feet under me when it comes to Instagram. So who knows? You might start seeing just more stories and more cool things in the future there. But definitely connect with me on Instagram. I love connecting with folks there. You can also email me, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Goes right to the top of my inbox. And then my website, you can go there too. You can go to the contact tab on matthewbivens.com. So I got multiple ways for you to engage and reach out and connect. And I would love to get into conversations with you. I truly would. All right, let's talk about perfection. Because as I mentioned, this episode is an example of what I do all the time, especially when it comes to creating things within business, podcast products. I get stopped up by perfection. And my first job out of college was in a startup. It was in a photo printing, like a manufacturing hybrid startup company. And we used to have this saying in like startup world, because when you're in a startup like that and you work there for a number of years, like you talk to other startup people and you read all the blogs about startups. You just kind of get all, caught up in that culture. And there was always this phrase that was shipped is better than perfect. And that idea is just simply getting that thing out of the door, shipping your product, shipping your idea, whatever it is better than it being perfect and you sitting on it. And that's a sentiment I want to get across to you today, because it applies to so many areas of your life. It doesn't just have to do with business. It doesn't just have to do with podcasts. Because so many times we withhold things. We hold back love. We hold back affection. We hold back affirmations. We hold back so many things because we don't feel that they're perfect. We don't feel that we're the perfect ones to deliver it. We don't feel that the environment is set up perfectly for the other person to receive it. And so we hold back and we wait. And what happens when we wait and we get caught up in trying to be perfect, well, then the world doesn't get to experience our gifts. The people that we love don't get to experience that hug. We don't get to put our value out into the world and impact others because we're really caught up in ourselves and in being perfect. And I see that happening in my life all over the place. In fitness, for example, I wanted to start a new fitness workout series here in my house. Anyway, so I wanted to do that, and I purchased it, and I look and they see, oh, well, I need this type of equipment. So I started to delay. Okay, well, I have the videos, but I'm not going to get started until I have the perfect equipment. I need the perfect room. I need the perfect mat. I need the perfect blanket. I need the perfect blocks. And I'm like, just get going. Just go, just do, just move, just act, and everything will fall into place. And so I saw that happening in my life, and I'm like, man, that's so crazy. I didn't know that this desire to be perfect bled outside of the boundaries of business and work. But it does. I know that there have been people in my life that, I've been wanting to reach out to. And I've typed up a text message and I've deleted part of it. And I retyped some and I deleted this. And then I just delete the whole thing and I never send it because it wasn't perfect. But shipped is better than perfect. And so this is just a quick little reminder to you that I want you to take a moment to pause and think, where in your life have you been holding back? Where in your life have you been waiting? Have you been just tinkering behind the scenes because you think that things need to be perfect in order for you to act? You're waiting for the perfect circumstances to align themselves. You're waiting for the other person to be in a perfect place to receive what you have to say. You're waiting for the perfect gear, the perfect equipment to begin that fitness routine. You want the intro to your book or your podcast or your YouTube video to be perfect before you hit publish. Where are you holding back and waiting? This has come up in a conversation I had with a friend. The spouse, they were kind of going through some stuff. And there were some things that they wanted to say. And they knew that they weren't honoring themselves by withholding. But they didn't know exactly what they wanted to say. And they wanted to think out all the details. And they wanted to make sure that everything was perfect. And what was happening is they were continuing to put space in a conversation that needed to happen. They were continuing to delay. And then what happens when there's that space going on and things aren't being addressed, well, now little things become big things. So this person was holding back so much because everything needed to be perfect, when really what was happening is they were afraid, and it was creating a bigger mess. So recognize that you thinking that things have to be perfect a lot of times is connected to some sort of fear that you have. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected. And so if it's a fear that you're experiencing, then okay, cool, fine. You know that by listening to this show, my feeling about fears is that when we experience some sort of fear that gets us stuck, that gets us paralyzed, that slows us down, we lean into it. We embrace it. We step fully into that fear because our happiness and our peace and our joy is on the other end of that fear always. Even if it's scary as heck. Even if we don't necessarily like the result of stepping into that fear. We know that that's where we win, that's where we grow, that's where we heal. So if you're paralyzed right now by feeling like you need to be perfect, understand that shipped is better than perfect. Getting that thing out there is better than it being perfect. So I'd love to hear where in your life you feel stuck in your pursuit of perfection. If you need some space to be able to tease it out, write me up an email. Write up what's going on that you feel like you got to be perfect. And maybe just in the act of writing it, you kind of work it out on yourself. You don't even need to send it. But feel free to send it. I'm happy to hold that space because I know what it's like to feel like I got to have all the elements aligned. Everything's got to be great. The planets need to be in the right order. The the temperature outside has to be perfect. I can't be too hungry or too full. Everything has to be perfect in order for me to take this step forward. And I do all those things. I beat around the bush. I do all that stuff because I'm scared. Because I know I'm going to have to end up counting on myself and relying on myself in some way. I know that, hey, nobody else is going to be able to do this but me. And that's a little bit frightening. So I get it. So if that's you, reach out to me. I'd love to be able to hold you accountable to stepping into that fear, to let go of being perfect and just ship it. Whatever it is, just ship it. So that's all I got for you today. This is a short one. This is a sweet one because the message is simple. The message is clear. So with that, my name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.